I have the great pleasure today of being with Wendy Hutchinson, who is an intuitive quantum soul healer. She's also the author of Finding the Path of Me, Awakening to Remembering Who You Are and Why You're Here, which is a guide for the personal ascension journey. And she's the creator of the Soul Oracle card deck and app, offering daily support for people walking their path. Her podcast, The Path of Me, features guests from all walks of life sharing their wisdom and journeys to become the highest and best versions of themselves through adversity and experience. Do I ever love that phrase? Wendy,
Thank
that's just so great. Thank
you.
you for being here. And I've spent all morning trying to get myself in the zone because it's such a beautiful energy that you have. It's so lovely to be in this
Oh,
space with you.
thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here.
We had a fabulous conversation a few weeks ago that was most unexpected for me because I didn't know anything about you. We were just introduced by
Mhm.
someone and we jumped on a call to meet, and it was a really transformative conversation. I felt like I was talking to somebody who is just vibing in my zone.
Yeah,
It's great to know you.
same. I think I mentioned in our earlier conversation that I've been walking alone on this path for a very long time. And that wasn't always by choice. I think there was always this inner desire to belong, but I never did.
Yeah,
Even when it looked like I belonged, there was always this inner knowing that I didn't belong. And it took me a long time to figure out what that meant and why that was happening to me. But as I went further on my journey, I realized I wasn't meant to be part of the pack. I was not meant, I was here to create change. I was here to challenge the system. I was here, and I don't mean in a protest kind of way,
yeah,
but I mean an energetically transformative way. And as I realized what my purpose was here, I understood why I had to walk alone. I have to be so discerning about my energy. I have to be so careful about my thoughts to remain so aligned to do the work that I do. And I couldn't be caught up in all of the ego stuff going on in the spiritual communities I felt like I belonged or wanted to belong to. And experience is a great teacher. So you keep dipping your toe into things that aren't aligned, or relationships that aren't aligned, or friendships that aren't aligned. And they're such a beautiful mirror to teach you what you really need to focus on, which is yourself and your connection
absolutely.
and your truth and your own inner guidance. And I think there has not been an incredible support system, especially for my generation. I'm going on 60 this year. I'm turning 60 this year. So my generation, we grew up in a very unconscious time. And I didn't have the awareness that I have now about how trauma impacts the behaviors of people. And as I've done my work, my soul work and my healing work on myself and others, of course, the story unfolds and you begin to understand why people have had such a difficult time connecting to their own divinity, their own source light, and trusting their downloads and information and
Yeah.
knowing.
That trusting that is
Mm.
a really big piece. It's a big piece of it, like that you get intuition or a download of some kind. I'm making air quotes here. And it's so easy to say, what does that mean? Or that doesn't mean anything. Or it's like a flash of a dream or something. Like that was just a thought, and then it
Mhm.
goes away because you find it impossible to trust that you could be having these direct downloads. You might believe that other people can do it, but it's very hard to trust it. And
Mhm.
yeah, this was the topic of a conversation I had not so long ago in a case supervision group that I'm part of because I'm still part of a homeopathy. It's a very high level homeopathy training that I've been involved in because I've been a homeopath for almost 30 years. So I have a wonderful mentor in Italy, a medical doctor, homeopath, and he's got about a dozen people who meet together with him once a month. And we share a case with each other and with him, and all the other members sort of pipe in and ask questions, and then he offers his opinion on everybody's. Once a year you get to share a particularly difficult case, and he was mentioning something about paying more attention to the feeling that you have in somebody's presence, that we tend to disregard that, but that is as valuable in choosing a remedy as the signs and symptoms that the person has and what they're saying. It's as important as the lab results that they may be showing you.
Yes.
And the woman who in this case was having her case reviewed, she said, how do you get to develop that? Like, how do you get to have some feeling that you can count on?
Yeah.
And he said, you have that feeling, you just don't trust it. And that actually brought her to tears on the call because it's
Right.
so true. Like it's you just think that doesn't matter. That's just how I feel. That doesn't have any relevance, and you brush it away.
This is such a small part of a bigger whole.
Yeah,
Not trusting ourselves is about our trauma history growing up, past life trauma that we've carried into this lifetime. It's tied to our sense of worthiness. And does my opinion matter?
yeah,
Do I matter?
yeah.
Am I
Do
worthy
I
of
matter?
having? Am I worthy of having an opinion worth voicing? And is anyone going to listen anyway if I voice my opinion? So I think this process is so much about not only trusting ourselves, but it's like a muscle. You've got to flex the muscle. You've got to work the muscle. You can't lift 80 pounds right away. You've got to start with the 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Lots of repetitions, right? Lots of repetitions. And then you level up and then you can lift a little more. And it's like that with connection to ourselves. If we don't pay attention to it, if we don't take time to really breathe and feel and know
And honor it. I would say, and
honor
honor
it.
it.
Yeah, you're not going to build the muscle. It's there and it's primed and ready for you to really begin to receive inner guidance and wisdom now more than ever.
I used to think that only other people could do muscle testing, that I didn't have the gift for it. There I go with my air quotes again. It was a kind of gift that some people could have, like being a savant in some area. It belonged to them. And I didn't have that gift. And so I should just let other people do it. And I was really blessed to meet somebody who taught me taught me how to do it and then made me practice it and gave me a space where I could, let's say, verify how I was doing, that I could feel through her what it felt like to get a good, strong muscle test and what a weak one felt like. And she said, it's just practice. It's walking around all day going, yes, no, yet true, false, whatever.
I think the
And
yes, no discernment is the most critical piece on our journey. For me, it's energetic, right? I get an energetic feeling in my body energetically, which is a yes, a strong yes, or a strong no. And that discernment piece, whatever it looks like for you, is really critical in making decisions in your life and trusting information coming in. Because we also have to have discernment around what we're filtering and bringing in terms of information, knowledge, perspective, right? Perception. We have to know how to process that information and determine what is true and what is false for ourselves, because our truth may be different than someone else. And our truth is going to be different because everybody is living in a different reality. And by that, the frequency we hold creates our reality.
Yes, it does.
And this isn't a better or worse or a pass or fail judgment. It's energetics, it's frequency, vibration. And if we are holding specific frequency, then there are going to be things that resonate. And the higher frequency that you hold, the higher perspective you have. You access more. It's almost if you were in a library and there were frequency filters or secured
Yeah.
areas
You
of the
don't
library.
get to go into this hallway or these stacks of
Right.
rock to
You
you.
had to achieve a certain level of mastery or esoteric knowledge or whatever it was to go into the restricted section.
Yeah.
But in that, because when you're accessing higher consciousness and expanding in your consciousness, you have to have the capacity to hold it, the information that's coming in, and not run from it because it's going to blow your mind. It
Mm.
is. Trust it, know it. So you have to, like I said, get to a place, flex those muscles, increase your stress tolerance, raise your vibration to even hold and access higher knowledge and wisdom. And as you do, you'll unlock the next thing. You'll be prepared. You won't have your ego
Yeah.
questioning, railing against it, fighting against it.
Yeah.
And the higher you rise vibrationally and the more expanded your consciousness is, the less you need to prove your point or argue, or because you have a higher perspective, you can see all the wounds and triggers in that individual that are being triggered in your presence or being presented with that knowledge. And so you start to have more compassion, you start to have more love, you start to have more understanding, and also, though, discernment on whether you need to engage in that or
Oh,
not.
you just said something about fighting again. We spend so much energy fighting against reality.
Yeah.
We use up a lot of our energy there. And it's what you were just saying about needing to be able to like host this higher vibration in order to have the higher perspective that allows you to have more love and more compassion.
Yeah.
We fight against that, like, that can't be true, or that can't be, or else many other things that I believe are no longer relevant.
I really feel that our triggers are our work.
Yeah,
So the harder someone is railing against something, that's something very deep. There's a deep wound in them that is being triggered. Maybe it's a lack of safety. Maybe it's financial insecurity. Maybe it's enslavement programs that are being triggered. Whatever it is, the situation you're observing and being triggered by is just the mirror.
right. It's
Always.
not
It's
that thing.
always the mirror. Is
Yeah,
your brother triggering you? There's something there. It's not the fact that this incident happened, right?
right.
It's there's a long history. There could be a long soul history, past life history that you guys are working to resolve and heal in this lifetime. But people are so consumed with just what is physically in front of them, what they can physically touch and sense and hear and feel. They don't understand the magnificence and power of the divine, of the cosmic, that we are one speck in a vast cosmic world, multiversal.
I'm going to tell you that I just came back from spending a few days at Deep Tech Week in New York, where I heard a lot of wonderful things, but the most incredible presentation was called Physics and Consciousness. And there were four different speakers who who just opened up this incredible world. When you talk about you are more than what you think, or like to literally have somebody be talking about the frequencies which are your thoughts and belief patterns, or the, to be like microscopically looking inside of one neuron of your brain and to be microscopically expanding the microtubules to see the incredible patterns of electricity running through these, like each microtubule is like a transistor of a computer or something, and
And
you have
people
trillions and
underestimate,
trillions of them.
yes, people underestimate their capacity. People underestimate their intelligence and knowing. You're already hardwired on a cellular level, on a microcosmic level, to access and hold vast quantities of light, which are actually codes and keys. They're energetically coded.
Yeah.
Every single thing is energetically coded and holds patterning, geometry, sacred geometry, and more frequency. So your capacity is great to have, and to have access to that, to incorporate it into your everyday life, and then live as the fullest expression of you here by understanding how all of this works. But that's not really taught.
No, of course not.
And this has been a system that has been thriving on keeping humanity enslaved,
Yeah.
unconscious, believing that they were disempowered, disconnecting their connection to source, creating religion as a means of control. And then they layered that with a patriarchal system where all these beautiful women like you and I were disempowered and programmed to believe not in ourselves, but in what we were told and in the system. And the oppression was brutal. We have suffered as women for eons because of the programming here. But women had so much wisdom. Women had so much innate knowledge. Women birthed children and healing and ideas and herbal medicine, and they just had so much access that they weren't allowed to express or practice.
That's a thing. And I think maybe we talked about this the last time we met, but I have chosen to focus a big part of my work on women who are in leadership positions in the tech industry for exactly this reason, because I think that it's just as you were saying, there's a kind of perspective shift that allows you to find a different place in this very, I'm going to say it's a masculine system, not because men have created it or are running it, but that systems in general are masculine in nature. And that when the system starts to be in love with itself instead of in love with the greater ideas that it exists to funnel into reality, right? The
Right.
system is in a dream too, and it's in love with itself. And the women are standing on the outside saying, why can't I find my way in this system? It requires a greater perspective. It requires stepping right outside of the
But they're
system.
right at the door. This is changing. There's
Yeah,
a
it is.
huge energetic alchemy happening on our planet right now.
Yeah.
Systems are collapsing and old paradigms are collapsing because I don't know if any of your listeners follow the Schumann resonance, which is the electromagnetic measure of frequency between the surface of the Earth and our outer atmosphere. But the energies have been remarkable,
That's what everybody's saying. It's off the chart.
So basically, as above, so below, a lot has been happening on a cosmic level to take this planet to light. And as things are cleared and higher frequency is held, that starts to force out and break down anything that's not in alignment with the energies, the new higher energies of the planet. That's why people are seeing so much disclosure. That's why the veils are falling. That's why people are stepping back, going, that doesn't make sense. You know, I was talking to a friend saying, this is the emperor has no clothes, where everyone has been walking around with truth in plain sight and not choosing not to see it, even though they knew inside the emperor had no clothes, that this was a falsehood or this was something, or maybe they couldn't believe it, so they chose not to look at it. Right? But what I'm saying is, energy is a constant. It changes form. It's always fluid. It's always flowing. It's always expanding. And we are reaching thresholds and pinnacles of frequency here on the planet, which is being integrated by everyone who's on this planet, including plants, wildlife, animals, species. Everything here is evolving consciously or unconsciously. And there are going to be segments of beings or people that choose not to go forward in this experience. And there's a very kind of physical bifurcation happening where two realities are beginning to separate because it's like oil and water. They can no longer
That's a great analogy. I like that.
coexist and be in a symbiotic relationship. It's been a process of separation, but there are going to be things that just cannot vibrationally hold in the new frequencies, the new earth, the new reality and direction we're going. And there's just going to be what I've been seeing a lot is almost like when you have a building and they put all these charges in the building and they're going to take it down and it collapses in on itself. And there's not a lot of blowout in the surrounding buildings, but they can take that building down very neatly. It's an implosion versus explosion. That's what's happening to all the systems in place. So those would be our systems of healthcare, insurance, politics, governance,
Banking.
education, all of the foundational pieces that have held us and somewhat enslaved us under the illusion of freedom.
Yeah.
Financial systems. We are in a time that appears to be chaotic and unstable, and it's stirring a lot of fear for people. But this is not something to be feared. This is something to be celebrated because we are literally watching the collapse of the old patriarchal system, the old siphon system, where our energy and resources were siphoned and kept us enslaved to that work, survive model versus a collaborative, community-based model of thriving. Humans, the human template and energetic light body and biology, and even our minds as a race, the original template was not about warfare. It wasn't about control, manipulation, enslavement. It wasn't about abuse. It was about light. It was about, having a physical experience of an expression of the divine here and having a physical experience where we could express through that physical human vehicle. But of course, things were corrupted. And the beautiful thing is we need to really focus on this piece collapsing and understand that we have to clear that before we can begin to build these new templates and this new architecture for the new world. And these women you're talking about in the tech industry are going to revolutionize it because this is their time. You know, toxic masculinity and the toxic femininity has been destroyed. The energy of it, the source of it on our planet, and the divine feminine and masculine codes have been returned. And that's why we're seeing, and people have been feeling and claiming this rise of the divine feminine and celebrating it. And it's really because with the pure codes of origin for divine masculine and feminine, they're really not separate. They're really two pieces of a whole
Right.
encoded within us. And so as we integrate those two parts of us and come into balance and harmony, we can express our souls in a very beautiful way. We can have relationships with the opposite sex, or we can have romantic relationships, partnerships, friendships in a very healthy way because it all begins with us. So when we're aligned and balanced energetically, when we have integrated aspects of ourselves and healed and released other trauma, I'm going to say implants or imprints in our fields, when we can become purely aligned, what we are able to offer the world becomes more about us embodying the fullest expression of us in all things, whether we're believers, non-believers, bakers, mystics, prophets, that we are embodying the role that we as souls agreed to play here, stepping into our missions here. Right now, everyone is being called and challenged so hard to release everything in their past, all their trauma, all their wounds. And it's been so aggressive because you are getting positioned to step into your mission, your human mission here that you agreed to play
Yeah.
before coming. And so many people were like the unicorns, just playing and prancing and ignoring this very important thing they should have been acknowledging, right? And working on to position themselves. They didn't. So now there's this radical shearing off of things and things you cannot ignore. You're having a blow up with your mom, or you're feeling this distress about going to this soul-sucking job every day and getting that fat paycheck, and you just can't let it go. But you know that your soul is dying and you need to get out of there. Everybody's being confronted very aggressively to make aligned choices. And it's going to require faith and trust and knowing that you came in with everything you needed to play the role you're here to play.
Oh, I love that. It's so true. It's so true. And I think all the people who are struggling in different ways right now, because there are all the people who just lost their soul-sucking job and were unprepared for this
For what's
to
next.
happen. And
But it's a gift.
it is a
It's
gift. And it's not, I don't want to pretend to tell people who are experiencing something that's not part of my reality to
right.
accept it as a gift. But on the macro scale, like this is taking apart, as you said, this illusion of freedom that we've been,
It's
this illusion of safety
dismantling.
and freedom that we've been living under for such a long time.
Yeah.
It's not going to be pretty, but it's on us now to step in with the very clear vision and intention of creating the new thing that allows you to just, as you said, express who you are and be who you are, and
Yeah.
let go of the comparing and competing and all the weird identity stuff like that has
That's
nothing
all
to do with who you
ego.
really are.
It's all ego, right? There, it's all masks and the false. And also, people I find they keep trying to grab onto that thing that was comfortable. They
Yeah.
know it's not. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be like trying to hold water in your hands.
Yeah.
It is just not going to be available to you to hold. You can try. You can spend a lot of energy emotionally trying to hold on to who you were, but you are becoming, and you are becoming a powerful being. And everything begins with you. We so underestimate the power of our light and our frequency and our voice. We so underestimate our gifts. And I'm here to tell you that this is the time to own and claim yourself. This is a time to know that you have a bigger purpose. It's not about you. It's about all the people that are meant to receive your light codes through your baking or your writing. It's all about you sharing your healed light, your healed version of you and your beauty and your gifts, whatever they are. It could be anything. It
Your
could be
creativity in whatever way it shows
anything.
itself.
Yes, there it doesn't need to look a certain way. I had this neighbor and he was on the spectrum and but he was like a plant and gardening master. And we would find all these plants on our door. He would just constantly bring us little gifts and plants. And he
Oh, so nice.
beautified all of the neighbors. He beautified our front door areas because he'd give us plants. And then if they were people not interested, he'd water them and take care of them. And this is his thing. That's why he's here. And his just big heart and kindness was a gift that we all received. So it doesn't have to be this success grab or you're trying to get there. You're trying to get a certain amount of money or a certain title or a certain notch in your belt. And it's really not about the success. It's about who you became in the process of getting there. And people choose a million different ways to a path. There's a million paths up the mountain, right? And so we have to stop judging what others are doing and know even if someone's doing the same kind of work, they're not you. They're not bringing your frequencies and codes to it. I have a lot of people go, oh yeah, I'm a quantum soul healer. Okay, but you're not doing what I'm doing because I hold codes unique to me. I
Yeah,
hold a frequency unique to me. So
exactly.
I know who I am and I know what I'm bringing to the table when I have someone in front of me and I know what the outcome is going to be. I don't need to speak about it. I don't even have people really ever write reviews. They're going to tell somebody and then they're going to come to me because my energy and frequency, my work speaks for myself. I don't need to chase anything.
Yeah.
It all comes. We have to become it to attract the things in resonance with it.
This speaks very much to something you said at the beginning about walking alone
Yeah.
and, being a category of one and how deeply uncomfortable that is. I remember myself in a previous piece of my own business saying to myself, or maybe out loud, I certainly journaled it, like, oh my God, that would mean that I would be completely on my own. I'd be in a category of one. There would be no one else doing what I'm doing. And it felt so alone. I had to really grapple with that. And
I know.
before I felt, okay, that's how it's supposed to be. That's supposed to be.
But we're not lonely.
It's not
Like
lonely.
you walk alone because you're here to lead.
Yeah,
You need to be out front. You're a leader.
yeah.
Therefore, you need to be out front and you need to make unpopular decisions. And you need to stand so firmly and rooted in your being and knowing that this is the path. Follow me, don't follow me. But this is what I'm guided to do here, and I'm going to follow that. And people will resonate with you, and other people won't. They'll find another leader that resonates for them. And when I say leader, I'm not talking an authority figure or a dictator. I'm talking about a guide.
Yeah.
It's if you're walking a trail, a bushman is going to lead you because he knows the paths. He's not telling you how to walk the trail or how fast to walk the trail. He's just follow my footsteps and you'll
Yeah.
get there. And maybe you'll get there in your own way. And that's what my work is. It's to be a guide. And I will always guide my clients back to themselves. What do you think? I know I'll know the answer, but I'm not gonna ruin the lesson here for you. It's about learning to trust yourself. And then they'll say, I think it's this. And then I'll say, I confirm. It's always about everyone finding their own answers. So I just help people to trust themselves, to release trauma that is interfering, release programming that is really so deeply embedded, they don't even realize they're
Oh,
operating
yeah.
in a program. They don't even know that they're defaulting to old behaviors. And a lot of people are experiencing things very aggressively because they've done a lot of work and they're just having one last dance with it. You show
That's
them
a
that,
great way of looking at it.
look at me, I actually didn't go off on that person. And you can feel like, all right, that felt really good to take a more compassionate and kind approach, or just to get off the phone, or just to choose not to text. I don't need to be sucked into this. I don't want to be on this group chat.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
choices, right?
Yeah. Go ahead and be yourself. I don't need to,
Yeah.
I don't
Have
need to
fun with
mix
that.
in.
Have
Yeah.
fun. I don't need to participate in that anymore. I spent a lot of time on my journey wondering why people didn't understand me. And it was because they were just in a different frequency. And I challenged everything that was comfortable to them by not conforming and not submitting. I grew up in an Asian culture. It's intense.
Mm.
Okay. It's intense. They care about success. They care about you not bringing shame on the family. They care about how much money you make, what car you drive, what education and degree you have. And they want you to be successful so they can go and all the aunties could get together and talk
Yeah.
how successful their kids are. And I took such an alternative route. Yeah, I drank the Kool-Aid in the beginning in my 20s. I got the college degree, I had a great corporate job, worked for Sprint and loved it. I drank the Kool-Aid, right? And there was nothing wrong with that. That was part of my experience and my life and my learning. And then I shifted and I was just put on this very accelerated path of awakening because I needed to be awakened to do my work here,
Mm.
my mission. And I just started having all of this mind-blowing stuff. And I didn't have a guide. I didn't have a group. And I was just trying to read all these books like Many Lives, Many Masters, or just whatever books were guided to me. I'd go to a bookstore and books would slam on the ground. And I'm like, I guess that's the one. That's what literally happened to me. Like my guides were like, yeah, this is
Wow.
this one and go back. And then another book would go. And I'm like, at the first time that happened, I'm like, what the hell?
Books were
Nobody's in my
jumping right off the
mind.
shelf at you.
Nobody's on the other side. I went around. I was like, oh my God, I guess this is the book. But things start to happen that you can't make sense of. And that's part of the process is being like, I don't know, just cracking you open a little at a time, a little at a time, a little at a time. And then you start realizing, oh, something's communicating with me. I should pay attention to these signs. They're telling me a story. And of course, everybody thinks you're crazy. Of
Mm.
course, because they're in the program.
Yeah, and it's hard when you're in that in between space
When
of
you're in between, when
developing.
you don't really know yourself, you don't know what's happening to you, and there's nobody to talk to. And it was just me and my journal book. I have 15 years of journal books, just everything that happened to me. And you lose things on this journey. You lose things that aren't aligned with you. You lose friends.
For sure.
You lose partners.
That's been part of my experience for sure.
There's grief. There's a lot of grief. Even as I progressed further in the journey and understood why, there was still a sadness. And even also there's a grief in letting go of aspects of you as you level up. You mourn yourself, even though I look at Ascension like Russian nesting dolls. If you're the core little doll in the very, very center. And then you start to grow and evolve, and then you expand a little, and then you become the next size doll, but you're still in there. All of our aspects of itself are still within us. Their gifts, their talents, their beautiful spirit, their love. You just expand and you just embody the next version of you. And then you embody the next version, and you're just this beautiful Russian nesting doll. It's always you, but expanding and expanding. And
That is a lovely metaphor.
yeah, and then you just expand. And I had this belief that you expand to the oversoul, and that's it. Then you expand to the oversoul, and you're the outer nesting doll. You know what? Your nesting dolls are infinite. You never get to the end, but you do become more and more embodied within your knowing. You become more light. You hold more light, and it allows you to share more light with the collective and the planet and your friend circle. Your heart just keeps your cosmic. Then you transcend the human heart and you tap into your cosmic heart, and your cosmic heart is completely, it's so beautiful. It's just so different from operating from the human heart. The human heart has wounds and limitations and also incredible love to give, but the cosmic heart is pure light. It's pure frequency, it's pure feeling, it's expansive, it's always pulsing out love.
It's very cool to hear you talking about this realm of pure light, because it is very much what I would describe as dark consciousness. So we're talking about the same thing. The language is different. The dark consciousness is like the birthplace of all the light. It is the maximum infinite light. But I would refer to that in my terminology as the dark. And the light is what's happening on the human, within the human narrative. We're just talking, it's really like
The
completely
words, the
overlapping.
words really don't matter, because what you become as you expand in consciousness is you become very fluent in reading energy. The words don't matter.
No,
If there's a resonance, then you're receiving and understanding what I'm saying, and people will feel and receive whatever their capacity to receive is, but there are also seeds planted. So as people expand in their awareness and they do their work and they're growing and they're just blooming and thriving, they're growing into themselves, right? Those seeds get activated at the right time. So it's almost like the whole code package goes in, but you maybe access, oh, this is the introductory chapter.
yeah, yeah.
But then as you work and learn to love yourself and remember who you are, then the other parts of the code package activate. So everybody's voice is light encoded with their frequency. So I find that people speak to me and have a lot of activations while speaking to me, even though I'm just having a conversation. There's
Oh,
light
absolutely.
encoded
Our
in.
last conversation was very activating for me. Truly. We could just go on
Glad
and on here all day, but you'll have to come back and
I'd love to.
continue this conversation another time, because this is so wonderful.
Thank you.
Wendy, it's just a true pleasure to be in your presence,
Oh,
honestly.
thank you.
Um,
Thank you for
please
saying.
tell people how can they find you? And of course, I'll put all this info into the show notes, but where can
Well, I felt bad about sending you so many links because I'm everywhere.
people?
If people are interested in more quantum information, I'm doing a lot of writing now on Substack. I'm new to
Okay.
it. You can subscribe to me. I think it's Cosmic Mother is my Substack name, but you could probably look me up and you'll see my photo. And I apologize because you will not receive a welcome and thank you for subscribing because I'm terrible at text. So just bear with me. I just had this knowing and this push by my soul to just begin. So I just started writing
Good
there.
for you.
But also you can go to my website. It's alinealifecoaching.com. It's ALIN as in Nancy, EA lifecoaching.com. And it has access to my book. This is my book. I just want to hold up my cover.
It's so beautiful.
Thank
Look
you.
how gorgeous that
It's
is.
a guide, to help people. It's affordable. And I'm going to be participating later. I think it's later this month on Kindle. The ebook version is going to be 99 cents, and I don't have the dates yet, but it's just almost like free offering for a few days to get people. But it's such a guide. And so alinealifecoaching.com, that you can sign up for my newsletter. My podcast is there. My Oracle card deck is there. And of course, you could schedule one-on-ones with me, which I love. I just really love connecting to all you beautiful light beings out there. There's so many of you coming online, and it's such an exciting time.
It
So,
is an exciting time. It
and of
feels very
course,
exciting to me.
I'm going to have you on my podcast, and so I
Thank
can't wait
you.
for that. It's going to be,
Thank you. I'll be very happy to do that.
yeah,
Thanks again, Wendy. I really appreciate you doing this, and we will be talking again for sure.
thank you.